Thank you. Hello, everyone. Live no YouTube. Então, seja bem-vindo a mais uma aula. Hoje nós veremos como melhorar a nossa produtividade. So, prepare yourself. Awesome. Cool. Today we're going to talk about work smarter. You prepare yourself. Prepare your probably don't need hours every day of work accomplish with only certain hours. That's what. So let's continue here back. So we're gonna see work smart. Told you. So first of all, we're gonna. So first of all, today's class we're gonna apply productive work. Productive. How can we productive work? And number two, are very benefits. VUCA, word. Oh yes. Thank you for the feedback. So now probably you can hear me better. So I'm gonna go back here in the explanation. So first of all, we're gonna cover identify productive and unproductive work. So first of all, I'm gonna make you some questions and I'm gonna answer those questions too, so you can have a better idea of what is productive and unproductive work. And in the second part of this class, we are gonna see what is VUCA. VUCA probably it's a new word for you, but we're gonna cover it in the right time, so don't worry about it now. We're gonna cover it later. And in the third part of this class, we're gonna organize your everyday tasks. So we're gonna make a brainstorm of the activities you do daily, and we're gonna organize them using a methodology, a scheme that you're gonna love. And finally, the fourth part is the routine. We are gonna finally make our routine and we are gonna have some tools to improve it by the end of the class. So let's get started. And first of all, I brought this quote from Bruce Lee, which I love, which is basically the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. Again, the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. So what do I mean by that? Me, you, and probably almost everybody on Earth, we are average people. We are not superhumans. I am not a super smart person. I am a hard working person. So everyone's like average. And if you want to be successful, a successful warrior, you need to have laser-like focus. You need to focus your efforts, your energy in a way. You need to focus your energy in some activities, and by doing this, you need to abandon other activities. So you need to plan, you need to think. It's an exercise of self-reflection. You need to think, am I doing the things that I need, or am I doing the things that I think I need to do? So that's what we're gonna do today. And this second slide is about our energy, as I was telling previously. So imagine on the left, you spend your energy in a lot of places. Today I'm gonna learn English, tomorrow I will learn finances, and you try to read some books another day, and you focus your energy in a lot of places, basically here. So imagine if you don't focus your energy, you're gonna spend it all over the place, everywhere. But imagine if you focus, if you have a laser like focus, you can go further. You can go way, way further. Imagine if you focus, I'm gonna study English and I'm gonna abandon using too much Instagram or maybe too much YouTube. So I'm gonna focus on English, and you can go further. Imagine it's like one piece of energy, one piece of energy, one energy. And when you focus those 10 or 8 energy pieces of energy, you can go way further into your journey. And now we're going to try to identify what is productive and unproductive work. So I brought some questions here and I'm going to answer all of them too, so you can have a better idea of what to write and where to start. So now it's a good time to pause this video, try to answer those questions in the best way possible, and I'm gonna read them and I'm gonna answer them too, so you can compare my answer to your answer. So do you feel doing unproductive work? Do you feel doing unproductive work? Well, sometimes I feel doing unproductive work, especially during the day after lunch when I am full and I ate too much sometimes, and sometimes my phone is ringing. So sometimes I feel doing unproductive work. Not a lot of the time, but sometimes. And the question number 2 is, what helps you maintain focused? What helps you maintain focused? So some things, when I see my phone ringing or someone calling me, I try to stop paying attention to everything that is around me. And a lot of the times I put my phone on silence mode. When my phone is on silence mode, it doesn't ring, it doesn't make noises, so I can focus better. So while I am working, while I am trying to get focused into my job, I try to not get a lot of distractions on my table. So I always try to keep my environment, my room clean. So I don't have a lot of books on the table, I don't have mugs or cups of coffee. So I try to make it as cleaner as possible. I try to make everything organized. So what helps me maintain focused is basically not having my phone on site and having my place organized. Number 3, what you feel when your work is not done by the end of the day. What you feel when your work is not done by the end of the day. Sometimes I feel kind of bad because I was supposed to deliver some tasks and I didn't deliver them. So it's a feeling of anxiety sometimes, a feeling of not accomplishing. So that's basically what I feel. And what about you? What you feel when you don't produce the things you need to or you must do for your job? And number 4 is basically how your life would be if you could do that every day with consistency and not lose deadlines, or at least reduce this event in your life. So how your life would be if you could do that every day with consistency and not lose deadlines, or at least reduce this event in your life. So again, I think I could be more productive. I think I could deliver more projects and I could have more free time. It sounds counterintuitive, right? The more I work, the less free time I have, or the more organized I am, more free time I have. So it's one of the things, one of the benefits that I got, that I saw when I started to organize myself and started to organize my routine. So now I have more free time to do the things I want, more free time to rest and to enjoy my family, my friends. And during the week, I have all my week plans. So I can take advantage of these times to do the things I am supposed to do. So if I could reduce even more these events, I think I could earn more money, get a promotion, or even do more things that I want, because I wanna, of course, I wanna travel, I wanna visit places, I wanna eat new food, so I could have a more diverse life by doing so. Okay, so now that we thought about those topics and answered those questions, you need to make an exercise of self-reflection. So you need to think, am I a morning person or am I a night owl? So basically, a morning person is a person that likes to wake up in the morning, likes to work in the morning, and on the other hand, on the other side, there are the night owls, people that like to wake up late, probably around midday or even later, and they like to study at night, to work at night, and that's not a problem. You can make your own routine. So some people like to wake up in the morning, and some people like to study and work at night. So what type of person are you? What times of the day you are more productive? What times of the day do you prefer to study? What times of the day do you prefer to exercise? You need to have a balanced life. So think about those things for a minute. What times of the day you prefer to do certain activities? And what do we mean by productive work? I put some bullet points here to illustrate what I'm talking. So, whoops, and this. So I'm gonna move my camera here so you can see better. And what is productive work? So there is a plan. So productive people, they have a plan of the things they do. So you need to plan your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because imagine you arrive on Monday and you don't have a plan. So you need to think, what I'm going to do today. So you start one activity and someone interrupts you, a friend calls you or sends you a message, and you don't know what to do next or even how to start again. So there is always a plan. You can think of 10 productive people or even one that you know, and you're gonna see that they have a plan. So plan your week. That's the main point of this class. Plan, plan, plan. And doing what you are supposed to do. So being productive is not reading a book, for example, because some people think I'm reading a book, I'm being productive, or I'm talking to my coworkers and I'm doing things. But are you supposed to do those things? Or are you supposed to do other things like study or plan your day or write a report, for example? So do things that you are supposed to do. Do things that are important for you and not doing things by just doing them. And of course, be real with yourself, because when you read a book and you don't apply that knowledge or you don't necessarily need that knowledge at the time, why are you reading that book? So you need to be real with yourself. Even when you put in your agenda, for example, from 1 to 3 to study English, and you end up not studying, you end up studying for 30 minutes because a friend called you, you're basically lying to yourself when you finish the day and you think, wow, I studied a lot today, but in reality, it didn't work. It didn't happen. So be real with yourself is always a good plan. And unproductive work is basically doing not important things. Again, you need to plan your day and do the things that are essential for your work, things that are essential for your development, and doing it just to feel busy. Sometimes we are all guilty of that. We all want to do something, we want to be productive, and sometimes we end up doing things just by doing them. So think, am I watching this video on YouTube? Even if it's a good topic, an interesting thing, but are you gonna apply that knowledge somewhere? Are you gonna need that knowledge in the near future? If not, probably it's time to abandon those habits. And of course, the third topic is move on. Moving on, it means that when you see yourself doing those activities, just move on, continue with your life. That's not a problem. You don't need to think I am a bad person because I'm doing things that I'm not supposed to do. So you need to be a calm person. You need to think that you're not a bad person because you're doing things that are not productive. So just move on, breathe and move on. Go back to work and go back to be productive. So now I'm gonna talk a little bit. Let's move the camera. 1 second. I'm gonna move the camera here and we're gonna talk about VUCA word. Probably, as I told you in the past, this is a new word for you. And VUCA is an acronym, which is basically V stands for volatile. I'm going to explain that. And U means another word, and C another, and A another word. So it's an acronym. It's a word based on others. So what do I mean by VUCA? The world we live in, it's basically volatile. So why it's important to plan our week? Basically because the world we live in nowadays, it's volatile. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow, and we don't know if the real, for example, it's going to stay 1 real, $1 for 6 reals. So tomorrow it can be $1 for 10 reals. So we need to plan our week and have a plan because those things are volatile. The world we live in is volatile. One camera today is 1,000 reais, for example, and tomorrow it could be 2,000. So we need to plan our schedule. We need to think of the world in a different way today because the world is changing every day and constantly too. And of course, the world we live in today is uncertain. So we don't know, we don't have a lot of information about the future. So we don't know, the world we live in is very uncertain. We don't know if we will have a job tomorrow. We don't know if we could leave our houses tomorrow or we're gonna go back to a lockdown situation. So the future of the world is very uncertain, which can bring us some feelings of anxiety, uncertainty. So that's why it's important to plan. And of course, the world we live in today is very complex. We have so many options today that it's very hard to focus and think only on one thing. So we have so many different options today. We could buy a phone from Samsung, Apple, or OnePlus, so many different brands that sometimes we feel lost because we have so much things to, the world can give us so much things, and we have a lot of options. Basically, it's very complex too because with technology it's not so simple anymore. You need to think in a way of computers. You need to think in a different way too. So the last thing is ambiguous. The world we live in is also ambiguous. We don't know what is going to happen afterwards. So if we take one path, if I study psychology or if I study accounting, am I studying the right thing for me? I don't know. So it's ambiguous. You don't know what is going to happen. If you say something to your girlfriend or your friends or your parents, you don't know their reaction, and it could be really good or really bad, and it could have not like results so different from one another in the end of the day. So a lot of the things are ambiguous, complex, uncertain, and volatile. So basically the world we live in today is changing constantly. So you need to plan yourself to be prepared at least for those changes. Because if you don't even plan your routine, yourself, what you want to accomplish, how are you going to accomplish something if you don't have a plan? So you're going to just look around all the time. So I brought some questions here as well. And do you feel living in a VUCA world? Do you think that this concept I brought into this class is real, or do you think it's just something that I'm creating by myself? And how does it affect your everyday life? So you think that one of the most important things is volatile, ambiguous, complex, or uncertain, and you think that you live in a world or in a place in an environment that is constantly changing or not? It's always the same. For me, of course, I will answer this question so you have an idea of what I'm talking about and my position, so you can have creativity to compare and contrast our answers. So I think that we live in a VUCA world and things are practically every day changing. So some days I am in a lockdown situation, some days I can't leave my house, and other days I can. So the pandemic is a very good example of how things are changing and the changes in the dollar as well. Some days, like 10 years ago, it was $1 for 2 reais, and now it's basically $1 for 7 reais. So things are volatile. My money is not the same as 10 years ago. So you need to prepare yourself. Do you have a plan? For example, I'm gonna retire, and if I earn 10,000 per month, I can save 1 million when I am 70 years old. It's just an example. And if things continue changing this way, probably you will need not only 1 million, but 5 million. So you need to plan those things because you can end up not having the resources or having the things you need for the future. And number two, think about companies that didn't recognize the fast changes in the world and went bankrupt. Bankrupt is basically when a company doesn't have money to operate anymore and they close down their operations. It's basically when a company doesn't have more money, doesn't have more resources, so they close. So the first company that comes to mind is Kodak, right? Kodak was a very famous brand, a very famous company in the past, and they produced cameras. But with the revolution of technology, with all this technology we have today, they didn't follow this new trend of digital cameras. So they had some choices and they made those choices and they made up their minds. So they invested, they had two paths. Imagine here in the ambiguous part. Imagine they had two pathways. One, invest in digital cameras, and another path for continue with not digital cameras. And they ended up closing their doors, stopping their activities because they didn't invest in the right path. So it could be very detrimental to your life, one path, and the other not so good, and one very good. So that's why you need to think about things. Think about your routine, what time of the day you're more productive, and think about those things. So that's one company, one example of company that didn't follow new trends and they stopped in time, and that's why they lost a lot of the share market, their market share basically, the amount of percentage of the market they have, percentage of the market that buy their product. That's called market share. Continuing here, so now let's try to do more by doing less. So we're gonna do less things in our routine, but we are accomplish more things by the end of the day. So I love this idea and probably you too. So we're gonna think. Now you can brainstorm your activities, think about things that you need to do, and probably think about all your activities. Make a list of, it could be a blank paper. So write everything you want to do in that week and also your habits. So you can write what you usually eat, what time of the day you eat, write what are the activities you have to do at work, what you want to do as exercising, or studying or investments, whatever. Write a big list. That is now it's brainstorm time. So write everything you want in that paper, and we're gonna separate all those activities by urgent and important. So after you brainstormed all the activities you wanna accomplish in that week, you're gonna make something similar to this. You're gonna write urgent, important, not urgent, and not important. And basically, here where it's due, write for things, separate the activities that are urgent and important. You gotta do those activities. So separate things that are so important, that are urgent and important. So basically, the difference between urgent and important is that urgent, you have to do those activities now. And important activities, you have to do them, but not in this moment. You can postergate them for the near future. But if you don't do them, they will eventually become urgent. And things that are urgent and not important, for example, you can delegate. For example, one urgent thing is paying the bills because they have a deadline, they have a date to expire. So if your bill is for tomorrow, you need to pay it. But it's not so important to do it now, so you can delegate those things. And another example of urgent but not important is a coworker calling you. So if your coworker is right behind you or to your side and he asks for your help, it's something that is urgent. You have to answer him now, but it's not important for you sometimes because his question could be something totally not related to your current work. So that's one example of urgent and not important. One example of not urgent that you don't need to do now but is important in the long run for the future, you have to decide those activities. And one example of this is studying English, planning your financial side, or planning to buy something that is worth a lot of money, for example, a car or a house. So you need to decide those things because important things, you don't necessarily need to do them now, but they will become urgent and important. And probably when this time comes, it's not gonna be beautiful, the situation. Because imagine, one important thing is studying English. So it's not urgent, you don't need it now, but imagine after 1 year or 2 years when you want that promotion, that dream, the dream of promotion, and you have that beautiful interview, you go really well, you talk well, you know how to position yourself, but you don't know English. So it's gonna be something that important and urgent, and you don't have time because you need time to develop this skill. So important but not urgent, you need to decide when you're gonna start those activities. So you need to plan them very well too. And things that are not urgent and not important, you can delete those things from your routine. So basically watching a lot of videos on YouTube and spending a lot of time on Instagram, for example, they are not so important and they are not urgent too. So you can delete those things and you don't need to do them like exclude entirely from your routine. Of course, looking on Instagram and on YouTube sometimes, separate those activities for your free time. So if you set from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. for work, you're gonna work. And if you set from 9 p.m. until 11 or midnight as a free time, you're totally allowed to do those things in your free time. But it's necessary to look on YouTube, watch a video when it's 1 or 2 p.m. when you are supposed to work. If not, delete this thing from your routine. And I brought some examples here, so I'm gonna move my camera again. Nice. So one example of urgent and important is writing the reports, because I have a meeting tomorrow, so I have to do them now, and it's very important for my job too. And the closing meeting. Every beginning of the month, we have the closing meeting, and of course, this is very important and urgent too. I can't miss that meeting. And things that are urgent but not important, like paying the bills, helping my coworkers, and not urgent but important, studying on investments and practicing exercises too. It's good for the long run, thinking about the future. And not urgent and not important, checking Instagram and seeing memes. We all love it, but separate the time. Have the perfect time to work and the time to study and check Instagram and memes. So now that's just a recap. We made a list of the things we gotta do, and now we know how to rank the importance of those activities. And now we're gonna make a plan to execute each activity, because now we know what we need to do, what we must do, and now we're gonna make a plan for each of those activities, so you can put your hands on those activities after this class. So we're gonna see the hows. How are you gonna do those activities? So you can use my example here, or you can create your own. I totally recommend you doing something that you like, something that is adapted to your reality. I'm just giving one example. What works for me not necessarily works for you, so you can adapt it. And I have a table, and I put item. Eta means estimated time average. How much time you need for that activity, and the deadline. When do I need to deliver it? And of course, some notes. Here are the notes. 1 second. Here are the notes. So as you can see, I'm gonna put the items I have to do. So write the report, exercise, and English. And how much time I'm gonna spend on those activities. If it's the first time you're doing it, it's not a problem to put too much or too little. Just think on average how much time you need to finish them. So usually it takes me 3 hours to write a report, and I need 1 hour and 30 minutes to exercise, and after that take a shower too, and to study English usually 1 hour. And the deadline for those activities, I know that I am like being successful in my activity, or am I failing in my activity if I don't exercise for 1 hour until 30th April. So I know if I am succeeding, going ahead towards my goal or not. So that's a good thing to do as well. Put how much time you need and when is the deadline for that activity. And some notes too. What are the actions I have to do? What are the things that I need to remember to do as well? And put some details, so you know what you need to do in that specific activity. So writing the report, sometimes it could be something broad, something that you don't actually know what are the sub activities. So here you can see I need to break down the sales from the first quarter. So when I sit to write the report, I know exactly what I'm gonna do and the results I want to achieve in that certain thing. And of course, I have to send it for Sylvia. And one important thing I can't forget it's send one copy for every attendee, for every person that is participating in the meeting. And of course, I will exercise for 1 hour and 30 minutes. My deadline is 1st May. And what will I train? Because if I just put exercise, it could be anything. Am I gonna jump rope? I'm going to run. What I'm gonna do? So I know that I'm progressing towards my goal of having a good body, of being healthy, when I know that I trained biceps, chest, and abs for 5 sets and 15 reps each. Remembering it's just an example, guys. You are gonna make yours. And of course, I'm going to study English and how I'm going to study English. What are the actions I have to do and the results I want to achieve. So I have to read one news from the Guardian website. I totally recommend that too. And chapter 5 of the grammar book. So by 30th April, I should accomplish this task. And you must be thinking, am I just taking those things out of my mind? Am I creating those things? No. If you want to have more knowledge about it, if you want to know more about those techniques, what I'm doing, basically, I'm gonna let some articles here down on the description of the video. Basically, this is called the Eisenhower matrix. I don't use a lot of jargons or complex words or strange things. I just try to bring the practical side of those tools. So everything, if you want to know more about those things, I let some articles, good articles, in the description. So going back here, so this technique of learning how much time, of putting the deadlines and the results and actions you gotta do, it's basically called SMART goals. So SMART goals, moving the camera here, perfect. So when you plan an activity, now that you know the activity you want to do and you want to accomplish, you gotta think, you gotta be specific. So imagine you want to learn English. You need to be very specific. What level are you? So I'm gonna study English grammar B1 or B2 for 30 days. And you need to measure it. So going back here, if I don't study for 1 hour until 30th April, I am failing. So you need to measure how many times are you studying. And it needs to be attainable. Attainable is related to the actions. What you need to do in this activity. So train biceps, chest and abs. You need to be very specific and attainable. What are the actions? Is it possible to happen? Attainable is also related to the tools. Do you need more tools or talk to a new teacher? What you need to do to make things easier in your life. And the fourth part is realistic. Realistic is related to results. So what results you want to accomplish? So after studying 5 chapters of English B2 grammar, I want to get to the next step. I want to start studying C1 grammar, for example. And of course, you need to have a deadline. How much time I'm going to spend in this activity and how many times I will practice that during the week. So you need to put a time of a starting date, and you also need to put an ending date, because now you know when you're going to start and when you're going to finish this activity. So I just put an example here, and you can use, I highly recommend you using Google Agenda, so you can do something similar to it. There are the times of the day on Google Agenda, and you can write the specific activities and you can separate them by color. I can make a video more detailed on how I do that in my agenda. So basically you set the activities you gotta do in a certain time of the day. And of course, remember to separate times for breaks, eating stuff. So breaks are very important. Imagine you put 8 hours straight, 8 hours of work. It's basically impossible, because our brain is not wired, is not made to have focus for so much time. On average, a normal human being, me and you basically, we can maintain our focus between 40 minutes and 1 hour and a half maximum. So after that, our productivity starts to go really down. So work for 40 minutes, 1 hour, and then take a break of 5 to 10 minutes. You don't need to work for 1 hour and take a break of 1 hour too. So you need to balance things. Work for 2 hours if you are a really hard worker, if you want to do that, but also separate some breaks throughout your day. And of course, don't forget to eat and drink a lot of water. And I can make a video about it in the future too, on how to make how to make your life more productive by doing some small adjustments into your routine. So basically, this is our action plan. We are almost finishing the class, and basically an action plan. So now that we got up to this point, you're gonna make number one a schedule for at least 1 week. You're gonna produce a schedule. I'm gonna let the Notion template so you can download it and use my example for the first time. And the second part will be review it by the end of that week, of course, and search for points of improvement. So basically, you can use my example, my template in the first time, but after that, it's very important to review and think of the things you can do better and think on the points you can improve, right? So, of course, thank you for getting up to this point and getting until the end of the class. So, don't forget, work smarter and not harder. Be a productive person without killing yourself in the process. My name is Luciano. Thank you for watching this class and see you next time.